This changes everything for the Edmonton Oilers as the injury bug catches up to them once again, and they rolled into the Crypto.com arena to take on a pretty mighty Los Angeles Kings team. All that more today on Oilers Digest as we recap yesterday afternoon's game. And folks, there wasn't really a whole lot to recap, but we will get into it. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so. 75% of you haven't hit that button down below. So folks, what are you waiting for? For any and all Oiler news leading up to and during the Stanley Cup Playoffs, Oilers Digest is the place to be. Now, without further ado, let's try and unfold what happened yesterday afternoon with Burn the Tape. Yes, the three words I would use to describe that one is the Oilers still without Stuart Skinner, Mattias Ekholm, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. Yes, he missed yesterday's game, but Trent Frederic made his Oiler debut, but unfortunately the Oilers falling 3-0 to the LA Kings, the best team in the NHL at home, and the LA Kings certainly showed that yesterday too. I mean, the Oilers, as much as they did, they put up a fight without their top stars against the LA Kings team, but just wasn't enough. No scoring in the first period. In the second period, there was a Jeff Malott goal turned over by offside, would have made it 1-0 Kings. It was turned over, but Kevin Fiala still made it 1-0 anyways. And then Andrei Kuzmenko, the former Calgary Flame turned Philadelphia Flyer turned LA King, makes it 2-0 Kings before Trevor Lewis put it into an empty net to make it 3-0 Kings. Like I said, the Oilers put up a fight, but it just wasn't enough to beat Darcy Kemper yesterday afternoon. And Corey Perry, it summed it up as best as you could. You take two of the best players in the world out of our lineup, and it is what it is. They're a good hockey team. They're well rehearsed. They play with structure. They box out well, and they play hard in the D zone, in that they do. Shots on goal 29-27 in favor of the LA Kings. I mean, it did look like 27 shots on goal, but not a whole lot of those I found, could have beaten Darcy Kemper very easily. Of course, a lot of decent chances, but nothing that jumped out at me yesterday afternoon. Of course, power plays. LA going 0 for 4 on any of their man advantages there. So, a bit of a silver lining there, no pun intended there, for the Oilers facing off against the Kings yesterday, but their only power play was just a whole lot of nothing there. But of course, you can't, put a whole lot of a weight behind this game. Of course, it's not exactly a playoff preview. The Oilers are trying to play more for survival than they were for strategy. Of course, they strike lightning twice against there without, McDavid there against the Vegas Golden Knights and, the San Jose Sharks. But, again, not really a whole lot more to say, but when it comes to the natural stat trick chart here, the Oilers 57-41 on the Corsi 4 in Corsi against there for a 58% Corsi 4 percentage. But of course, the analytics and the eye test don't really go hand in hand here, as I thought the Oilers again just did not look very dangerous all afternoon. Lots of pucks hopping over their sticks. Just lots of errors that you thought, why are you making these at all? But of course, the Oilers just, not a very strong performance. But Knoblauch said, I think we had some opportunities in the second period that we couldn't capitalize on, but the chances weren't a lot tonight, and a lot of credit to them. And even with everyone in our lineup, it would still be tough to generate chances just because of the way they play. That team is almost identical. They changed their neutral zone a little. Of course, the Kings going from a 1-3-1 to a 1-2-2 neutral zone structure there, but it's almost the exact same. Just the pieces moved around a little bit. It is the same four-man. Just looking at the natural stat trick heat map there, you can see the Kings a lot more inside the slot there and towards Cal Pickard, and not a whole lot from the point there. Meanwhile, the Oilers, sure, they were around Darcy Kemper a little bit, but more so trying to lean on that point again. And, just another look at it here with the Kings scoring chances and the Oilers scoring chances to sort of put, a square there with the slot inside the crease there, and the Kings a few more chances than the Oilers there. So the Oilers, if they want to even think about beating the Kings in the playoffs, they have to get inside there and stop with these, silly little point shots. Because, of course, Knoblauch did put a lot of weight on getting shots from the point, but more often than not, they are blocks. The Oilers have to get to the dirty areas against this team, and not just this team, but against, any other team that they face off against the rest of the season to get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs. But again, have to give my flowers to Cal Pickard. Another strong game there, 929 in net there, 26 saves. Would have thought, the Oilers would give him some goal support there on the offensive front, but just a lot of passengers today and not a lot of people taking control. I mean, Hyman only had one shot. Nugent-Hopkins didn't have any shots there, and I had a stat chart in I do believe it was the Sharks recap without Draisaitl or McDavid. The point totals, and you needed these guys to step up without them. And the two biggest, Hyman and Nuge. Didn't really do a whole lot yesterday. I mean, there was a line, I do believe, with Victor Arvidsson in Pod Coles, and the two best Oilers yesterday afternoon on the forward side. Walman and Bouchard, phenomenal once again there. But I think when Matisse Ekholm does come back, I think they will go with, Ekholm and Bouchard and maybe a Nurse and a Walman, despite, the fantastic numbers that Walman and Nurse have been putting up together. But we will come to that bridge when the playoffs start there, or we get a fully healthy Oiler team. That's what it boils down to. Of course, the Kings did not see a fully healthy Oiler team, and that'll be the difference maker. Of course, when you take McDavid and Draisaitl out of any lineup, the Oilers will not look as strong there. But of course, Calvin Pickard with 1.76 goals saved above expected. Now, the other big storyline here that could change everything for the Oilers is the debut of Trent Frederic yesterday. Of course, the Oilers traded for Trent Frederic at the trade deadline, and after a month, he made his debut. His first shift was only 6 seconds long before not playing for, I do believe it was another 10 minutes, but he made his first shift count for something, hitting Brandt Clarke there, making his presence known to the Oilers right away there. And just taking a look at Trent Frederic's shift chart there, of course, only 4 shifts in the first period, 2 in the third period, but he's coming off of a high ankle sprain, so you can't rush him back into this situation, quickly. Otherwise, he will get hurt again. But he went -2 on the day, but I love the way he played. Got in the face of Darcy Kemper, and he was just a disturber on the net all afternoon, and he generated some quality plays. Knoblauch also had some great feelings about Trent Frederic. I thought he played really well. There was a little reevaluation, just finding out how he's feeling, of course, after the 6-second shift, and then he continued to play after that. His minutes were a little bit lower tonight, but when he was on the ice, I loved his game. He gives us a little bit of a presence around the nets, some feistiness, and he was able to make some nice plays on the breakout. It'll be nice when he's got a few games under his belt and a lot more comfortable with our team. He will be a welcomed addition. Of course, he was primed to make his Oiler debut against the Anaheim Ducks on Monday, but I do believe the Draisaitl situation, his injury, propelled Frederic into the lineup. Was it too soon? I don't believe so, because of course he had to be cleared by the team doctors, but I am very excited for what Trent Frederic could do on this hockey team. Now for the Oilers, still lots of hockey left to be played with our What's Next segment. Still one more game against the LA Kings at home on April 14th there in Rogers Place against the LA Kings. They have a chance to even up the season series. Of course, 2 shutouts back-to-back between the Oilers in Kings, one in Edmonton, one in LA, so who knows what kind of low-event hockey will happen on April 14th. Of course, still lots of hockey to play for. And the Oilers, their next game is against the Anaheim Ducks. They're 9:30 Central, 8:30 Mountain at the Honda Center there. And when it comes to McDavid's return, Elliot Friedman on the Saturday Headlines intermission segment last night on Hockey Night in Canada said the word is mid to late next week was the target. The Oilers lost. They're 4 points behind the Kings. Does that change the way that they kind of look at his return? He wants to come back as quick as possible. And of course, when it comes to injury, Connor McDavid does not like taking a lot of time off. You saw it earlier in the season. You saw it last season too, the injury against the Jets, and then coming back for the Heritage Classic. So I do believe McDavid, he is rip-roaring and ready to go. Is like I said, the Oilers take on the Ducks, and then they come back for 2 against the San Jose Sharks and the St. Louis Blues there Wednesday and Friday, April 9th and April 11th, before heading back out on the road for 1 against the Jets, coming back to Edmonton, like I said, against the LA Kings, and then ending the season against the San Jose Sharks. And just taking a look at the standings watch here. Now, it's very interesting because, LA and Edmonton looked like it was going to be, cemented as the first round matchup there. But you can see LA in Vegas. LA only 3 points behind the Vegas Golden Knights. So who knows what will happen before the end of the season. The LA Kings on a 4-game winning streak, and the Vegas Golden Knights not gaining as much ground, or trying to lose the Los Angeles Kings, I should say. So it could be a Vegas-Edmonton first-round matchup there. And, of course, the Oilers could clinch a playoff spot tomorrow night against the Anaheim Ducks if they beat the Ducks in regulation. If the San Jose Sharks beat Calgary in regulation, it will be clinchmas, and the Oilers will officially be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is it for today's video. It wasn't an extraordinary one, as you saw. That game yesterday wasn't extraordinary on its own, but there's some silver linings. Trent Frederic, fantastic player. I'm excited to see what he will do for the Oilers. Cal Pickard still on a roll, although I do believe we will see Olivier Rodrigue tomorrow against the Ducks, but still, Oilers hockey, you gotta love it, and even when they get shut out 3-0 by Darcy Kuemper. But let me know your thoughts in the comments regarding yesterday's game. That is it, folks. Have a great rest of your Sunday and a great start to your week tomorrow with Monday. Take care. I'm Matt.